I'm Allison, and this is Dream Anyway, a podcast for those of us who feel the pull to create, even when the path isn't clear. So wherever you are in your journey, grab a coffee, get comfy, and dream anyway.
This is the one, the only, AJ the wordsmith, your local poet, enthusiast, time-traveling, ancient dragon from a different dimension, also known as Afarie Dama Aja Tolu Ade Duke. Africa in celebration, God give me a crown. Your ordinary run-of-the-mill security guard who works downtown, working to help put a smile on your face and get you to your day.
Yeah, because you work at Cinder.
Yes, ma'am.
I need to go to Cinder. Is there something there that will make me forget about politics and how hateful the world is?
Well, now, I can't say specifically our creed is that we do not condone or speak on politics for the behalf of anyone's mind.
Yeah.
But what I can say is we have some pretty dank CBN and CBD-based gummies and also some flower or topicals that will help get you through a couple of nights or so with this interesting endeavors that I've been going down the rat maze, if you will. When we start breaking down what we take inside of us, the human body, it is a Pandora's box of any and everything from vitamins, bacteria, unknown pathogen that somehow streamline our consciousness. We do not know the answer to everything that happens within us, but we get a good idea, we get a good guess, and then part of that kind of goes with what we might be allowing to enter us or what we're putting in there voluntarily.
Oh, that is true. I really have been talking about unplugging from watching the news. I know I'm doing it to myself. If I could just unplug, but I'm so scared that I want to know what's going on. But it's messing me up, man.
I like to say when I hear energy and frequencies that resonate to that extent, the first thing is thank you. To be vulnerable with me on something that can be seen as dehumanizing. It really is the very opposite. These are the type of uncomfortable conversations that humans need to have to bring them back together. A lot of times not someone will hear this narrative and think, oh, so do you think you're better than others? It's universally encompassing to say humans, you humans, are you not? Do you consider you're not that first and foremost? You have a name, you have a title, you have a job, but those are labels. Scientifically, you're a human first.
That's the despair that I'm feeling because I thought we had evolved more than we have. So it's just been hiding in the shadows. And so it's a really scary time knowing that there's so much division and hate.
And the thing about both those, as I'm learning from some of my mentors and conversations alike, is that these things, these tropes, traits, if you will, are often miscategorized, misclarified because that hate is, misportioned or undiscovered love. That form of self-deprecation is inspiration that has yet to be seen. It might be applied in the incorrect manner or a way that one might not be able to resonate with. But that isn't not part of the human experience as we stumble upon these paths, these journeys, these opportunities to clash with ideals and wisdom, to resonate on different frequencies, to create a vibration that holds each other accountable. Are we, for a lack of words, just kind of shucking and jiving, pussyfooting it, just thinking that, this ain't it. This next life is going to be it. My next reincarnation or my child will take care of things or the aliens will handle this or the zombies are going to come take this. So why do we want to put it on something else? Because it's more convenient than saying I can do something. Doesn't mean I got to donate millions of dollars. Doesn't mean I got to be out in the streets every night fighting crime. You'll never know if I do or I don't. It matters with what you yourself can come to terms with, that you can accept, but also be accountable with. Some average person on the street could stop you. That person could be undercover, could be a cop, could be your boss, could be your future love. And they could be asked, why did you do that? Why did you? And then insert that thing that you just did. Are you going to have an honest answer or are you just going to try to separate from the conversation altogether? If my life is at risk, I don't know. But if I truly have nothing to lose and nothing to gain, I will give a genuine, honest answer. But I have to maintain that with everyone to some measure consistently. It's the service I can do to myself, but this service makes me start feeling like I'm a people pleaser. Well, I have to entertain this. Or I have to have this conversation because they're talking to me right now. Even though I have work, I got to go. Or even though I got food waiting for me at home on the front doorstep. I got to have this. Like, no, we can have a conversation, or we can be brief, or we can establish boundaries.
Mm-hmm.
Ooh, crazy one. Establish boundaries. Have a quick thing like, hey man, I'm sorry. I don't know you like that, but if I see you again, I'll give you that answer. Hey, I appreciate that, but this might not be the right time.
Yeah.
We're so used to trying to avoid being inconvenienced that we become the very thing that we're trying to avoid. As I took on the moniker as wordsmith, I chose to live in poetry, to define and to dissect every word that I came across and seen, and to analyze everything around me. Because in this living consciousness, nothing is finite, unless you want to consider death. And even then, that's up to hearsay, because we don't have scientists on the other side telling us what to see or what to expect. We can pick and choose to what category we want to put it in. Is it magical, or is it scientific? Or is it just something in the in-between?
Mm-hmm.
Like most of everything else.
What I think I hear you saying is that you choose for yourself in that moment what's going to work.
Mm-hmm. And isn't that not, in a sense, justifiably a service? Isn't that not being considerate? If you're doing it genuinely. I have these things that I know I have to do or I'm going to do. I go about doing so with respect to myself and any others in my proximity. And as I go about doing that, I go on to the next thing and to the next thing. And if you want to kind of get a descriptive picture here, I create my own symbolic sunshine in my head. And in that head is like all these other ideas and tasks that I have to do, and those become asteroids. And as those tasks get closer and closer to my proximity or to my nature of having to accomplish, they get absorbed into that giant sun. I learned this technique from the one, the only RZA from the Wu-Tang Clan, and it was this guided meditation. We as humans overburden ourselves with so many different things on the daily. I do not fear having to restart. My concern is others having to do the same. If the next day we wake up, nothing works, you don't have access to nothing, the sun isn't going up like it normally does, you don't have money or access to it, but you can still breathe, you can still walk, you can still technically kind of see. What do? That's a reality for some folks. Some people wake up in these, if not worse, if not sometimes better circumstances. We don't have this conversation because it's too inconvenienced. I would love to talk with you about it, but I don't have the time, or kind of smell funny, or I just thought you were trying to come rob me, or there's too many semicolons to a conversation that needed a period or a page break. We don't want to have structure. We don't want to live in a rule-based society. We want to complain about the lack of rules. Only when it outweighs our benefit is when we want to change. That's human nature from everything in history, because again, history was written by the perspective of those who won. And if you want to claim that, well, history isn't always accurate, it isn't. And neither was the Bible. It was written by those who won or who chose to listen to others. And we chose to listen to them. And if we have a difference of opinion, we either reject those or we might consider it. Small portion of us might consider it, or we ignore it altogether.
Are you religious?
At one time, I would consider myself to be a very religious person. This was up until about between the impressionable age of 12 to 15. I went from religious to spiritualist.
Mm-hmm.
For me, it's more so on, I didn't believe in one specific answer. I didn't believe in one specific source. I didn't believe in one specific anything, because it just kept feeling like it wasn't definitive. It didn't feel like it wasn't consistent. And it just didn't feel like it aligned with everything that I was going through or I wanted. So I questioned. I had questions, and I would go to the places where you would worship to ask those questions. And when I realized that these questions weren't going away, and that the people who were supposed to give me answers weren't really trying to give me answers, or the answers they gave me didn't really seem like it answered my question, I kept going, asking others and searching more. And then I realized through all of that they all kind of had a part of a story, not an entire story. And it was like that kid in the back of the school bus who has a revelation that they might be the next billionaire or the next Albert Einstein. I'm like, man, what happens if they just all had it wrong?
Or in some way all had it right for them.
Yeah. Exactly.
I just can't imagine that only one is right.
No.
And however it helps you get through the world, that's what I think religion is. I'm Jewish, non-practicing, but I can't imagine that if there's a God, he's going to smite me because I'm not believing in Jesus Christ. That just doesn't work for me.
See, I started out as Baptist Christian. I was baptized and raised Tabernacle Missionary Baptist Church, child usher board, and child preacher and child choir. And then I stepped from that into a spiritual journey, a wanderer with inquiry and questions of the plane of existence that we lived on and how we chose to worship. And through a lot, and I mean an extensive lot research, I found what I believed was a form of proof in that very same thing, that there was a segment of each story. And I encourage and I challenge those at home to do the same, to look and to research and to question what you may or may not truly know or what you might have taken for granted. But when you have multiple different religions, multiple different sources, multiple different languages that start, not stem from, but start from a place of love and acceptance. That's the universal thing that they all start with, is that we love and we accept you for who you are. They might have some goals, some templates, some structure, some do's and they don't. They apply to that, but that's supposed to be the first thing. And then the caveat to it that I never truly understood was why they never kind of alluded to how all of this was, again, circumstantial, if not symbolic. Everything from the book to the house to the teachings, because all of this are things that you yourself are supposed to have within you. The preacher is your mind, the church is your body, and the gospel is your livable beliefs. And so as you're living through scripture with others, other stories, other tomes, other disciples, they themselves are also on a path, if not a similar one or different, that comes with different things as well. And so then you get to this unification point of saying, well, I like your ideals and your viewpoints and you like mine. Let's go ahead and put these together. What do you want to call this? Well, we can't call it something from both of ours. We got to call it something different. And then more people like that. And then more people like that. And then suddenly it gets bigger. And then we're like, okay, well, here's the do's and the don'ts. And here's what you pay us so we can keep this running because we want to. And this is how we're going to keep this operation going. And that's when it, to me, felt so convoluted.
Right.
But when I constantly get badgered by questions by my younger brother, who's also in his philosophy era, because he likes asking the questions, he's like, what about this? Or how come that? And it's like, you're 21. You're not going to get any answers. You're just going to get more questions, but okay. And he kind of came to this similar realization. What is it that defines me or drives me in this manner or way? And why? And how am I going about living this and expressing this for others? And if they want to ask me or they want to inquire, do I have the confidence to explain and express it to them? And unfortunately for me, it came after a time of life reflection, lots of life reflection. And I truly hope that this message hits others in that way, where it shouldn't matter where you are in your journey, to reflect on yourself, to restart on yourself, or to look at a different direction that you normally wouldn't. It's never too late. Because at the end of the day, what would happen if you knew? If you knew the exact moment, the exact time, the exact second that you had left, or if you knew for everyone else except yourself, would that change who you truly are? It might redefine it. It might encourage some things to the point where you might not be seen as the same person, but truly deep down inside, that's your core.
Yeah.
That's who you always was. There wasn't someone whispering that in your ear. But we don't want to hear that. We don't want to have those uncomfortable conversations.
I feel like being spiritual is very inward and being religious is outward. I might be wrong, but my experience with religion is it's exclusionary. And so I like spirituality because it's all about me and my God or whatever I consider to be God. And it's a personal relationship and it has nothing to do with anybody else, you know?
Interesting. I see it similar. However, the thing I like to remind other humans in this regard is that it's okay to resonate that, but to still have the courage to challenge that.
Mm.
And I'll clarify, when I say challenge, I mean to push it to the depths of what you believe is true, what you believe you know. Because at any day, at any time, there's a chance, if not an opportunity, to repurpose or reevaluate the script. You could essentially start a whole new life tomorrow. But if you don't have good intentions, if you don't have a good mindset, you're going to sink right back into the same bad habits, the same tropes, and the same situations. And so purposefully, when they introduced the idea and concept of religion, it was to say, hey, as long as you have ethics, as long as you have morality, and you remember these teachings, you will stay on this path and you will always reach your enlightenment or your journey of what you believe paradise is. Doesn't mean we all have the same. Doesn't mean we all don't have different variations of that. It's just rather unfortunate that it takes a variation of time to get to that realization on this journey.
Tell me about your poetry. How long have you been doing that?
Oh, man. So officially, professionally speaking, I'd say it's been about 8 years doing poetry. Maybe 12 almost at this point. I was doing it here and there once in a while at community events and things, but I didn't see myself seeing it as something of that caliber. But it was right around the time after college when I was actually starting to do gigs and get paid for it, when I was like, oh, this is kind of a thing.
Mm-hmm.
You know, finding a way to express yourself on a microphone in front of others and holding place for a conversation or taking their topics and redefining how they might see it. That's a whole thing. I enjoy doing it in my head already, but people want to pay to hear this? Oh, geez. Okay, let's have some fun.
So is that just the way you think? I mean, I can see that it is. Your words are painting a picture. Are you very also visual?
Yes, I am the chaotic version of Bob Ross meets Deadpool in my mind.
That's funny.
Yes, because I have to go like in second and third person, like, well, as AJ sat there listening to the question that was procured to him, he thought in his regard, is this the regal answer that will get repercussions or strive for more? And it's kind of like for me in that sense of getting a chance to poke or prod at different parts of my intellect or self that I don't normally access or do. Mm-hmm. But it is in a way that I don't feel like I'm prostrating myself out there, if that makes sense.
What does that mean?
It means to put myself in a position that would seem to be uncomfortable or not deterring for others.
Mm-hmm. How old are you? Do you mind me asking?
Oh, well, I'm 3,300, technically 33. And I first started writing poems and poetry when I was grade school age, at least 14, between 14 and 16, because when you have a lot of repressed emotions, you're looking for outlets. And you can't punch the floor or the walls all the time because people find out and they ask questions. So writing, that's a good one.
Yeah, that is good. Do you journal also?
Yes, I am a consistent journalist, meaning I will have half-finished journals out there that disappear, go to the ether or get donated to others, where it's like, hey, halfway through, you know, you went from day 1 to day 50 in a row. And then somewhere it's day 175. Penmanship is different, font is different, but you're still going on like it's any other day.
Yeah.
That's kind of what I enjoy about the writing, because it's its own era and time. It's its own period of grace where you can express something, but you can come back to it.
Yeah.
You can resonate with it. It's safe there, or you can destroy it and you don't have to worry about it again.
Have you found this? I think this is so fascinating that we have all the answers within us, right? Or so we're told.
So we believe.
I think it's true, because have you ever had these thoughts and then written it down and figured it out? Because your own writing, which means the answer was within you. And then whatever you were struggling with, you're no longer struggling with just because you wrote about it. Have you ever solved anything with your writing?
In essence, yes. Overall, to my satisfaction, no. So in essence, yes. When it's come to manners of financial gain or affairs of the heart or even my mindset, writing down any or even a residual part of it puts me in a realm that allows for me to solve it to an extent that I can comprehend, or it kind of helps me put things in a different section where I'm like, okay, this is this component. Now I can take this and apply this here or put this elsewhere. And to the satisfaction point where it doesn't is because I don't feel complete. Even when I do have something even when I get to that meeting or have that conversation, it doesn't feel like it's only a one thing. It always feels like there's something else there.
Yeah.
And what I got inquired about that or asked by an anonymous source, this is just someone close to me. They asked me this question. It almost kind of freaked me out because they're like, when you hear those voices in your head, and I do, sometimes it's just like me reading stuff out loud, or other times it's inquiring about questions and stuff like that. He asked, what are they saying or how are they saying it? What does it mean to you? And I gave my answer, and I'm going to give a refined version of the answer to you, which is simply it's something that usually tells me from something that I already feel or I had already known, but did not give myself enough courage to process or speak on. So if it's negative, it feels negative. If it's positive, it feels positive.
Mm.
If it's something in the in-between of that, it's in the in-between of that, but it's something there. And it will either ask a question, give an idea, or create a thought, and there's some tonality behind it. And then from there, I create either a conversation, a mindset, or a way of either dealing with it or not.
Mm-hmm.
Not so much so where I'm like, oh man, it just keeps on screaming. But it's like, okay, well, why did I think that? Or what led to that? And then what from that, how does that make me feel? And growing up, I would imagine first thinking that, oh, well, being diagnosed with ADHD and different forms of autism kind of makes you already go there. If it's either schizophrenic or spiritual, then maybe it's somewhere in between. Because I noticed that it would only happen either at certain times in my life, certain areas, or if I was around certain people.
Mm.
And then when I noticed how I spoke on certain parts of it or refined it enough to where I was able to make it to where someone else could comprehend, the reactions were baffling because it was almost as if I was being a spiritual surgeon in their mind, pulling out from their emotion that what they were just moving around, unable to really grasp at. I'm like, this is the one thing that you wanted to say, or this is what you might have wanted to feel. And they're like speaking on that specifically to me. And this isn't something that I pride myself on or go trying to say that this is credence to, but this is just how I fluctuate in my vibration. I resonate with it to some manner, some way. And I would believe it to be somewhat so true just from this conversation alone.
You mentioned ADHD and autism. And did you feel like you fit in as a young person? Do you feel like you fit in now? I don't know fit in where, but I'm just wondering if you feel othered.
I feel like I've found more solace in other. And then because of that, I've kind of created that own unique comforting enclosure for others to come to the other. Like, oh, well, you don't feel like you're accepted either? Well, come on over. We may not all have the cool things that get us along or that might not be welcomed by the entirety, but a select group of folks resonate with this specifically.
Yeah.
And that in my sanity is something refreshing, renewal even. Because even when I'm at a low frequency, a low vibration or a low negativity, I'm like, there's still an alternative. This is still something I can feel. This is still something I can express.
Mm-hmm. You feel like a safe place for people. I know you deal with the homeless a lot, right? Outside of Cinder. And you just feel like you're very caring. You feel very warm. That's nice.
It's something that you don't really look at as a luxury or privilege until after you've seen an example of it or it's demonstrated towards you.
What do you mean?
As kind of just mentioned, like working downtown or working in an environment where you have to speak with people or you have to hear a part of their story, it kind of forces that side of you that might be desensitized to say, well, I can hear the resident within this person. And like there's something there.
Right.
It's not just a creature, not just an animal. There's a soul inside. And how do I acknowledge that? Validate it to a certain extent even.
Yeah, that's really beautiful. I think all the time about they were a kid once and, had high hopes. Every person was a kid once with, and their mom was hopefully cheering them on, just makes me so sad when I see where they're at.
Mm-hmm. And of it is, and I don't think this is wrong in your opinions, but you're still that kid. It's
right.
we're so quick to take the mindset of saying, oh, I'm an adult now, adult clothes, adult needs, bodies. It's like, yeah, but you still have things you do that your child self does or did.
I'm very, very, very aware that I am my 5-year-old self or 7-year-old self. And she is in charge most of the time. I just turned 58. I'm constantly having to take over.
Yeah.
There's definitely a little girl in there.
Yeah, but I feel like if you find ways to honor and celebrate it,
definitely.
it becomes its own vibe. It's its own kind of source.
I really feel like because I'm attached to her and honor her that I play a lot. This podcast, my photography, I feel like I'm just playing the whole time. I'm approaching it in that way.
And I think when we look at the little us versus the big operator, we get misconstrued on the roles and on what they mean. And that's not necessarily a bad thing. It can be kind of sad, but you should take some pride in knowing that you're doing something so difficult and so challenging that others are drawn to you naturally because of it. That because of that in itself, it's something so spectacular that it has to happen because you're living it. That's how important it is because, you exist. You're important because you chose to live.
Right.
And we don't really speak on those things because they put value behind that or self-worth. But if you just told everyone that's living that you're important because you're living.
Absolutely.
That would redefine and rewire them.
That is what made me remember my worth, is that just because I was born, I'm worthy. Because for a long time, I thought I had to accomplish or be a certain size or love a certain way. But the truth is, I am perfect just the way I am, solely because I exist. Also, I wish everybody knew it.
Oh, I think given time, there's still a chance and opportunity.
Did you grow up with siblings?
I'm the oldest of 13, but I live separated from all my siblings because we kind of had our own kind of upbringings.
How did you live apart? I'm the youngest of 6, and there was 3 dads, and we were all stuck together in the same house. There was 3 girls and 3 boys.
To give you the quick version, I was the firstborn between my mother and father who weren't married. They had a difference in spiritual opinions that caused them to make different life choices. I went with the biological mom who ended up taking another life choice. And then afterwards, she ended up having other kids with another life partner. And I was left with my uncle and aunt. And then I lived with them for a good portion of my life until I was independent. While my biological parents, went to live their own lives and ecosystems with others as well.
I see.
As the oldest, I still would go back and have interactions and meet with them. But other than that, it wasn't anything I was too kind of bothered by because I had a chance and opportunity and it created its own unique story there. I was a part of 3 families. So the family that I was born with, which is 2, and then the family that raised me, which is another. And those were like the 3 prime families. There was other families and other influences that kind of helped shape me and such, where I came from Texas, lived in Seattle, visited California, but graduated over in Federal Way, Washington, and then moved up to Spokane to get my bachelor's and then study my master's. So stories within stories within stories.
What do you have a master's in?
My master's was an incomplete one, but it was a pursuit at communication and leadership at Gonzaga University.
Oh, cool. It is crazy how much our childhoods and our parents' choices affect us. But I think I can see that you're not being a victim of it. You're saying this is what happened. And now this is what is how it helped. Looking back on it in a different way. Is that how you'd define it or no?
To that extension. It's not an agreement or a disagreement. It's more so like, I can take that topic and spin it so many different ways.
I see.
But that's just kind of the summary of it.
Yeah.
To say the least.
Do you ever have a definitive answer on anything, or are you always open to possibility? That's what it seems like.
Always open to possibilities, but there are some things to my core that I always will have an answer to, or at least a belief in. Because nothing is set in stone. Even these kind of conversations can change at any moment, at any given time.
Well, that's what one thing I was going to say also about writing is I can be feeling something so deeply tortured about it, write it, and then not tortured about it at all. So then the feeling that I had this minute, I don't have this minute. So everything is so in flux all the time. I don't think I'm the same person I was maybe even this morning. because something new has popped in. I've learned something today, so now I'm a different person.
Likewise, I feel like it's something that's always going to be changing and it's always going to be something to believe. But that's just my take on it.
You've made jewelry in the past, right?
Yes. And it's something that I enjoyed mainly because when I kind of see like art as its own superpower of expression, that when I was still learning and adapting, I was still just the guy who was like jot down some stuff in a notebook while other people are like drawing with paints and wires and clay, and they're ripping fabric and cutting sheets and they're sewing in rhythmic styles. And I'm like, I'll never be able to do any of that. And they're like, it's not about what we can do and you can. It's like, what are you willing to do? Mm-hmm. What are you willing to try at even? And then I realized just trying or just attempting without anyone judging, it's like, man, it's almost addicting.
That is what joyous art is. Mm. If you can do it for the pleasure of doing it, not worried about the outcome.
I believe, but a part of the worriment, the fear is just false evidence that appears real. Mm-hmm. If you don't consider it, if you don't create some way of appreciating it to a certain extent, like anything else, any other part of the emotional spectrum, then it will destroy you. It will poke at the faults in your armor, the parts of you that are most weak, and then it will begin to let you feel what you could do to make that better. And if you choose to ignore it, then it's going to keep on feeling that way. It's like a type of pain. And it's not a pain that doesn't get better or worse. It's a pain that's consistent until it becomes phantom. And the only way that happens is by a way of acknowledgement, a way of acceptance, and a way of defining it. Just because it happens and occurs this way or this manner, it doesn't mean that it might not ever again. And it doesn't mean that there's some things I will never be able to do. It's just there's some things I can and there's some things that I can't. But in between those, there are things that I must and there are things that I won't. Those are important ones. Those are the ones that we kind of forget about. Those are the ones that we are quick to try to speak on. Well, why didn't you even, why not? Or how come? You never said anything. Mm-hmm. We just assumed.
Mm. You said that and then I lost what I was going to say.
I try to warn you. You brought words to a warrior of words. Did you not think this would be a battle?
I knew you would win. I did not think it was a battle. Freely surrendered. Well, the podcast name is Dream Anyway, because I think that life is short and you might as well just go for it.
Yeah.
Are you living your dream or do you have a big dream that you want to achieve?
Yes and no. Part of my dream was something that I was going to show my mom. And in a sense, I am going to, and I have, and I'm still doing so. And I say this because, again, I have a very big faction of a family. And so part of that fraction was the biological side. And the side I'm speaking on isn't the biological side. It's the side that took me and raised me. Mm-hmm. But that side inevitably phased on into the next dimension of life. She herself was a statistic to the thing known as lung cancer. And the one thing that she was always concerned with was for me, my well-being and safety. And she believed that the best way to secure that was with an education. Nor did she believe there was anything else, albeit to it. So singing, dancing, performing, she would enjoy it. She always would try to see if I could. And I never really had the courage to show her. But I took that, the insecurities, and I utilized that with my education to create something. And I felt like the best way to demonstrate that was poetry. Mm. And so in a sense, my dream that was inspired by her dream for me is an ever fulfilling, never truly satisfying one, because I'm constantly putting on a show, not just for myself and everyone around me, but for the people who inspire me.
Thanks for listening. New episodes drop every Thursday.